God did not allow this creature to enter Noah's ark. In the records of biblical history and human history, few stories are as vivid and universally recognized as that of Noah and his ark. It is an event that transcends cultures and generations, deeply ingrained in the moral and spiritual consciousness of many. Even unbelievers who know very little about the Bible know of Noah and his ark. The events that surround the life of Noah not only speak of divine judgment, but also of hope, salvation, and the relentless pursuit of righteousness amidst prevailing evil. The biblical account, primarily found in the book of Genesis, begins with a somber observation by God. The earth was corrupt, filled with violence and wickedness. Human morality had decayed to such an extent that God decided to reset the course of human history through a cataclysmic flood. Genesis 6:5-8. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. It was a divine decision, prompted by the need to cleanse the earth, to eradicate the pervasive evil that had taken root in the very heart and soul of mankind. Yet, in this sweeping judgment, there was a beacon of hope: Noah. Noah, distinguished from his contemporaries by his righteous character, found favor in the eyes of the Lord. In a world bending towards moral ruin, Noah was a symbol of virtue and obedience. God's instructions to him were clear and detailed. He was to build an ark, a colossal structure of gopher wood coated with pitch inside and out. The dimensions were specified: 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high, equipped with compartments and a roof to withstand the impending deluge. As the builder of the ark, Noah was also tasked with a mission of preservation. He was to bring his family along with pairs of every living creature, male and female, to ensure the continuity of life post-flood. These instructions Noah followed to the letter, gathering his family and the animals aboard the massive vessel as the skies began to darken and the first rains whispered of the coming storm. The ark, filled with the sounds of humanity and animals alike, floated on the waters that covered the earth. Every species that roamed the land or took to the skies was represented on this vessel, saved from the floodwaters that obliterated life outside. Yet, amid this tale of survival and obedience, there lurks a mysterious aspect, often overlooked and laden with intrigue. As the rain fell and humanity's hopes rested on the buoyancy of the ark, there was one creature, one remarkable and controversial being that was notably absent from those saved. One creature that was left behind. One creature of great stature, great significance that was left behind. Despite the comprehensive nature of God's command to preserve life, this particular creature was excluded, left to face the overwhelming waters without refuge. The creature in question, surrounded by myths and shadowed by ancient texts, was none other than the Nephilim. These beings, mentioned briefly in the scriptural texts, are shrouded in myth and interpretation, leaving scholars and theologians to ponder their true nature and origin. The primary biblical reference to the Nephilim is found in Genesis chapter 6 verses 1-4, a passage that precedes the events of the flood. Genesis chapter 6 verses 1-4. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also, after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. From this passage, the Nephilim are described as mighty warriors and giants, the heroes of old, men of renown. This depiction aligns them with figures of great strength and formidable presence, echoing the traits of legendary warriors and ancient kings. However, the origins of the Nephilim are not explicitly detailed in the Bible, leading to varied interpretations and considerable debate among scholars. One theory suggests that the Nephilim were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. The sons of God are often interpreted as fallen angels, a celestial lineage that mingled with humanity, giving rise to a hybrid race of extraordinary stature and power. This interpretation sees the Nephilim as direct evidence of divine beings intervening in human affairs, an idea that is both fascinating and theologically significant. The notion of angels, especially those who have fallen from grace interacting with humans, introduces themes of transgression and the blending of the supernatural with the earthly. Another perspective considers the Nephilim as the descendants of Seth and Cain, the sons of Adam and Eve. Here, the sons of God are thought to be the line of Seth, who were following the ways of righteousness, whereas the daughters of men were from the line of Cain, known for wickedness. The intermarriage between these lines, then, symbolizes a dilution of moral integrity and a rise in rebelliousness, traits that could manifest in the formidable nature of the Nephilim. Additionally, some scholars look to ancient Near Eastern texts and traditions where figures similar to the Nephilim appear as legendary kings or demigods celebrated for their superhuman feats. In this context, the biblical Nephilim may represent an amalgamation of historical and mythological narratives, possibly exaggerated over generations. These interpretations suggest that the Nephilim were not literal giants, but rather mighty men whose legendary status grew in the telling. Among these theories, the most widely accepted and the one I personally subscribe to is that the Nephilim were indeed the offspring of fallen angels and human women. This interpretation not only aligns with the mysterious and supernatural elements of the account, but also underscores a significant theological point: the consequences of heavenly beings intervening in the human realm, a theme that resonates throughout biblical and apocalyptic literature. As we ponder the story of the Nephilim, their absence from Noah's Ark becomes a poignant symbol of divine judgment, not just on human wickedness, but on all creations that resulted from divine and human transgression. This narrative sets the stage for a deeper exploration of divine justice, mercy, and the boundaries set by God for creation. The moral and spiritual landscape of the world before the flood, as depicted in Genesis 6, was one marked by profound corruption and pervasive violence. The text paints a bleak picture of humanity, stating, "The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time." This description underscores a complete moral breakdown, a society where the foundational values of righteousness and justice had been eroded entirely. In response to this overwhelming wickedness, God felt a deep regret for creating humanity, a poignant reflection of the severity of the human state. The text goes on to declare, "The earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence." It wasn't just the actions, but the very fabric of human relationships that were corrupted, filled with exploitation, brutality, and injustice. This violence wasn't random, but a symptom of a society where moral boundaries had been obliterated. Amidst this chaos, the Nephilim, mentioned as the heroes of old, men of renown, were also present. While the biblical text does not explicitly blame the Nephilim for the corruption, their association with this era of heroes and their remarkable lineage, a hybrid of divine beings and humans, suggests they were part of the broader degeneration. The very existence of such beings, born of the union that crossed divine boundaries, could be seen as a symbol of the era's transgressions, where the natural order established by God was disrupted. Their formidable presence and possibly dominant roles in society might have contributed to the systemic violence and moral decay. The exclusion of the Nephilim from Noah's Ark is deeply embedded in theological and moral reasoning, centered around the nature of their existence and the circumstances of their creation. According to biblical texts, the Nephilim were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, understood by many scholars as the progeny of fallen angels and human women. This union was not just unnatural, but directly contravened the established order set by God, showcasing a clear defiance of divine boundaries. These hybrid beings represented more than just physical might and legendary status. They symbolized the profound disobedience and moral corruption that had permeated humanity. The angels involved in their creation, according to scriptural texts, faced severe consequences, being held in chains as a punishment for their transgressions. This severe response highlights the gravity of their disobedience in the celestial order. The decision to exclude the Nephilim from the ark reflects God's broader plan for purification and renewal. By initiating the flood, God aimed to cleanse the earth of the corruption that had taken hold, setting a divine precedent for justice and re-establishing the moral and natural order. The Nephilim, as products of rebellion and symbols of widespread moral decay, could not be part of this new beginning. Their exclusion underscores the necessity of upholding divine statutes and serves as a potent reminder of the consequences of straying from them. Thus, the fate of the Nephilim is intertwined with the broader narrative of the flood, a divine intervention designed not just to punish, but to fundamentally reset and restore. In reflecting on the narrative of Noah and the Nephilim, we find potent lessons that resonate deeply with the challenges and moral landscape of today. Just as in the days of Noah, we find ourselves in an era marked by a fascination with sin. The Bible's depiction of a world absorbed in violence and rebellion is eerily reminiscent of our current times, where sin is not only prevalent, but often celebrated and idolized. This parallel draws a stark reminder of the enduring nature of human fallibility and the cyclical pattern of societal moral decay. Centuries after Noah, Jesus referenced the time of Noah to teach about readiness and the suddenness of divine intervention. This historical reflection serves as a warning and a lesson. The patterns of the past are not merely historical narratives, they are blueprints of human nature and divine response. Today, just as then, we see a world where the powerful often believe they control the destiny of humanity. Wealth and power can create an illusion of control, mirroring the ancient Nephilim, whose formidable presence might have given them a false sense of invincibility. However, the story of the Nephilim and the flood teaches us about the ultimate sovereignty of God. These beings, despite their impressive stature and potential influence, were not beyond the reach of God's judgment. The flood was a definitive demonstration that no amount of power or rebellion can supersede divine will. This serves as a critical reminder that in a world where the rich and mighty often seem to dominate, true control rests with God. The floodwaters did not discriminate by power or status. They cleansed the earth of corruption across the board. The role of the faithful, exemplified by Noah, is particularly instructive for us. Noah's obedience and righteousness in a corrupt world highlight the significance of maintaining integrity and faithfulness even when surrounded by widespread moral decay. His life underscores the importance of living righteously and following divine commands, regardless of societal trends or pressures. This is a call to the faithful of today to stand firm in their beliefs and practices, serving as beacons of light in increasingly dark times. Moreover, the narrative of the Nephilim teaches us about responsibility and the consequences of our actions. The hybrid offspring of divine beings and humans were part of a larger tapestry of divine laws being broken and boundaries crossed. Their eventual fate in the flood is a stark illustration of the fact that actions have consequences, sometimes far-reaching and severe. In our times, this teaches us to consider the ramifications of our actions not only on ourselves, but also on our society and the world at large. Ultimately, the story of Noah, the Ark, and the Nephilim reinforces the lesson that God's sovereignty is consistent and unchanging. It serves as a reminder that regardless of human perceptions of power or control, the divine plan prevails. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, the principles gleaned from these ancient texts can guide us towards a more thoughtful, responsible, and spiritually aligned existence. In a world that often feels as if it is spinning out of control, the story of Noah offers a grounding truth. God is, and always has been, in control.